zuppa, soup, zoop. Today on Let's Cook. Hi, welcome to Let's Cook, where we are calling today soup, 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 or zuppa, suppa, or soup. All cream soups today. Let me just go over the menu. We're making a bechamel sauce. With that bechamel sauce, we're going to make a delicious, easy, fast, quick, convenient, fun cream of mushroom soup. Then I'm going to make a velouté sauce, velouté meaning velvety, and we're going to thicken a little bit of chicken stock and use that to make a cream of broccoli soup. Last but not least, a garlic and manchego cheese soup. You know, manchego cheese comes from Spain. It actually means plateau. So we have three great cream-based soups going on today on Let's Cook on our zuppa, suppa, or soup show. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, I'm going to make a delicious bechamel sauce to get my cream of mushroom soup made. Don't go anywhere. It's soup, soup, soup today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Soup, Soup, Soup today on Let's Cook. Now, before we went to break, I said I was going to make a bechamel sauce. A bechamel sauce is basically a very simple milk sauce because the stock that we use is milk. Now, I've already started the bechamel here because what I've done is I've taken a little bit of butter with some onions and I just cooked it till the onions started to change color. To this now I add my flour. Now what we're going to do with the flour is we're going to take the flour and incorporate it with the butter and the onions. We're actually making a roux in here right now. Now traditionally or historically, bechamel sauce was actually made with white veal stock. And it was because of Christianity that they actually developed a bechamel sauce because during Lent, the 40 days of Lent, they were not allowed to eat any meat. So what they actually started to do is they started to make bechamel sauce. Instead of using veal stock or a meat stock, they started to make it with milk. And it was named after the inventor Louis de Bechamel. So we have this our roux here. Now all I'm going to do is add milk to this. Now the recipe, if you read a lot of recipes, it's going to tell you to take the milk and scald the milk and heat it up before you add this to the bechamel. That's really an unnecessary step. Now what I do with this is I take this and I simmer this. I bring it up to simmer and I stir it constantly because of the flour. It can actually scorch and burn. Then I end up adding some thyme to this. I end up adding a bay leaf, and if you want, I can use a clove, and I season it at the end with a little bit of nutmeg. Now, what you can also do is if you don't want to dice up the onions here, and you don't want to strain your sauce, you can make what we call a piqué onion, is where you take an onion, a piece of onion like this, then to the onion you might cut a little slit in it this way, and then into that slit insert your bay leaf, or take your bay leaf and attach it with a clove. And what you do is you bring this up to a simmer with the milk, and then you thicken it with a roux afterwards. So you just bring your milk up to a simmer with this, remove this, take some flour and butter, melt it together, add that roux to this, and thicken it the same way. You don't really have to do that, though. You can just do it this way. The important thing is you keep stirring it. Now after you've brought it up to simmer, and it's simmered for a while, and we're going in time here. We come over here, and this is my bechamel sauce that I've been simmering for quite a while. And now it's a little thick, but I want it to be a little thick because this is going to be the base for my cream of mushroom soup. I can take this bechamel sauce, I can make it ahead of time, hold it in the refrigerator, and use it as a base for a cream soup or a cream sauce or a cheese sauce, or if I'm sauteing something and I want a little bit of body to it, I can add a little bit of bechamel sauce to it. Now, my next step is I'm going to use this sauce to make my mushroom soup. In this pan right here, what I've done right here is I have some mushrooms that I've sweated. So these mushrooms, and the term sweat simply means that we're going to cook the onions just till they turn translucent in a little bit of fat without getting them any color. Now, I know I just said mushrooms when I said this, but I really meant onions because my next step would be to add my mushrooms to this. So I take my mushrooms and I cook them along with the onions and sweat them to just really draw out the moisture. After about 5 minutes, because mushrooms contain a tremendous amount of water, they're about 80 to 90% water, this is what my mushrooms end up looking like. You can see all the moisture that's come out of them now. That's why we want our bechamel. You see the water in the bottom there? That's why we want our bechamel sauce to be a little thicker, because then what I do is I take my bechamel sauce and I add it to my mushrooms. This is now my cream of mushroom soup. Now, I've already cooked the mushrooms to a point where I've extracted all that flavor. So right here, I am simply taking my mushrooms and bring them up to a simmer with the bechamel sauce. This is the base for my cream of mushroom soup. Classically, if I made this cream of mushroom soup, I might strain it through what we call a chinois here, which is very fine. Or if you don't have a chinois like this, you could use a strainer like that. You can also take the mushroom soup, if you'd like, and you can use an immersion blender to puree it. I find that these immersion blenders like this, they just take way too much time. Because they work, if you have a lot of time, use the immersion blender. If you don't want to use this, you could also just take the cream itself with the milk in it and strain it off, and then take the solids right here, take the solids right out of there, and just puree the mushrooms and add them back to the soup. Or, if you don't want to puree it at all and you want to have bits of mushroom in it, you can serve it just like this. The one thing we need to do is we do need to taste this for salt and pepper, and I forgot to add my thyme to this, so I need my thyme in there. I'll take the thyme out. But let me go ahead and taste this now. Because of the way I made the mushrooms, excuse me, it's going to have a delicious mushroom flavor already. Oh. The flour flavor is cooked off because I cooked the flour flavor out of my bechamel. The only thing I'm going to do now is add a little cream to this now. We add a little cream. That's just going to enhance the flavor. And further, I'm just going to take a little bit of whole butter here and add just a little bit of whole butter to it. But I seem to have, I have a little bit of whole butter right over here. So we'll just take a little bit of whole butter, and we'll add that. That's called Monte Beurre. That's just going to give it that wonderful, rich, finished flavor. Here's my cream of mushroom soup. I'm not going to puree it. I'm not going to strain it. However, you can if you'd like to. Then you'll get a little bit more of a pronounced mushroom flavor if you strain it. If I just pureed it, it would actually be a puree of mushroom soup with cream. This is what it looks like in the bowl. Out of this world. I'm going to pour this right in the bowl here. We're going to take a little break. And then when we come back, we're talking velouté sauce for our cream of broccoli soup. It's soup, sopa, sopa today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Soupa, Zoppa, Soup today on Let's Cook. Now, we already made the cream of mushroom soup. Now we're going to make the cream of broccoli soup. But we're going to first make a velouté sauce. The term velouté means velvety. And again, this is going to be a roux thickened or flour thickened soup. So the first step in making our sauce before we can get our soup started is we simply take our butter and we melt our butter in the bottom of the pan. Now while we're melting that butter, we're going to go ahead and add our mirepoix to this. Now our mirepoix in this case is simply onions, carrots and celery, and we sweat this off just until the butter's melted. By the time this whole butter melts, you're going to see that my onions are going to be translucent. Then we take this now. This is great. We just add our flour to this again, making our roux. Now, very similar to the way we made the bechamel, except that instead of using milk now and just onions, we're using mirepoix, and I'm going to add chicken stock to this. I can even let this get a little bit of color if I want to. Now, the rule with making or incorporating a roux with the liquid is they should be altering temperature. So I don't have this hot, I have this colder at room temperature. I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken stock to this. I always hold a little bit back in case I don't need too much and it gets too thin. If I added it all and then it wasn't thick enough, then I'd have to go ahead and make more roux or make a cornstarch slurry and thicken it up. This way, as I stir this and it comes up to a simmer, then I'll be able to see how nice and thick it is. I know I have the right amount. I'm putting in the rest of my chicken stock. That was the educational tip of the day. So now I take my broccoli, and I have my broccoli florets right here. And what I'm going to do with these broccoli florets is I'm simply going to cut them down this way using the stalk as well, but I'm going to cut the stalk down quite a bit smaller than the head. So we just take our knife across the heads here. Now, a good tip about broccoli is if you're concerned about the broccoli having bugs in it, go ahead and take it and soak it in a little bit of salt water. It'll kill the bugs. It'll draw them out. Then just rinse it before you go to use it. A few facts about broccoli, but before I give you those facts, let me just show you what I'm going to do with this. This just goes right into the velouté sauce here. Just goes right in there. And now all I have to do is allow this to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes till the flour flavor cooks off and the broccoli is nice and tender. Let me just give you those broccoli facts. The name broccoli actually comes from the Italian word cabbage sprout, and it's relative to the cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower family. It's an excellent source of not only vitamin C, but vitamin A, riboflavin, calcium, and potassium. It's almost like a green banana. A little bit of history. Broccoli really wasn't that popular in this country till after World War II, because a lot of the veterans that came back from Italy got used to broccoli. It's a great vegetable. So what we do is we allow this to simmer for 15 minutes. This is what it ends up looking like once it's simmered for a while. You see how nice and creamy our soup has become now. Before, when we did the other soup, I took the soup and I left the mushrooms in it, and all I did was serve it, finished it with a little cream. This soup I'm going to puree. To puree this soup, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, and I'm not going to use this immersion blender. I don't have the patience for this. I'm going to use a Cuisinart. So what I do with this is I just take, I strain my liquid away, and then we're going to take all these solids that we have right here. Let me just strain a little bit more. And we're going to start to puree them. To puree them, I simply take them now, just like this, pressing most of, see how I'm getting most of that liquid out? I will need a little bit of liquid. I will need a little bit of liquid in here so that it can go through the Cuisinart properly. So now I just take this, bring this a little closer, okay? And I'm going to put all of my broccoli with all of my mirepoix in there. Put this on the side. Now we just simply take this and we let it puree. Look how, now while that's pureeing, look how beautifully creamy my broth is from the soup. See how nice that coats the back of the spoon? Oh, that needs a little bit of salt, so we'll add our salt now to this. I'm going to heat up some cream to go in this now. Now my broccoli is nicely pureed. I now take my broccoli, I just add it right back to my soup. It's going to give it some body, and it's also going to give it that wonderful green broccoli color. Doesn't that look terrific? Oh, out of this world. Now this, just take hot cream that I have right here. I add my hot cream to this to finish it. Again, the sopa or soup or soup that we're making today, they're all cream-based soups. So now we'll just take this, beautiful consistency, a little bit of tasting action here. I'm crazy. I'm crazy for cream soups, I really am. Oh, out of this world. Now I have two options here. I can take my soup and serve it just like this, or if I wanted to, and I wanted to be very classic, I would take and strain out all those solids. I would only lose about 5% of the soup by volume, but I would increase the flavor by a minimum of 20 to 25%, because those little solid pieces of broccoli that get in your mouth, they prevent you from really tasting. Let me go ahead and put this in a bowl right here. And again, when you serve a cream soup, the cream soup should be right at about 180 degrees. It should be really nice and hot. And you can tell if we look at this soup right now, you see the great shine that I have in this soup right now? Beautiful, beautiful shine, and that's because we cooked the sauce properly. Beautiful. And then we'll just take and garnish this with a little bit, some nice blanched broccoli florets. It's time for us to take a little break because when we come back, I'm not going to use a roux for this cream soup. I'm going to use a beurre manier and make a garlic and manchego cheese soup. Don't go anywhere. It's soup today on Let's Cook. We will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where now we're making our final cream soup. It's a garlic soup that we're going to finish with manchego cheese. But what I've done right now is I've taken whole cloves of garlic right here, and I have some white wine in them. And what I did is I put enough white wine here just to cover 20 cloves of garlic. It is now simmering. The wine is almost cooked down where it's almost dry right now. This would be called sec. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and add a little bit of brandy to this to flame it. If you're going to do this at home, you have an electric stove, you have an open flame, remove the pan from the flame, add your cognac, your brandy, your distilled alcohol, put it back on the flame, and then light it on fire. Okay, it's extremely dangerous to try and do this over an open flame because it can catch on fire. You see how, and this is a high flame now. This is a hot flame. We're getting a lot of heat off of this. But the brandy is going to give it that complexity that it really needs to produce a great flavor. You see how nice and high that is? So now I take that. Now once my flame goes out, and this is almost out, now I add my heavy cream to this. So I'm going to take my heavy cream and add my heavy cream to this. And everything, you can just kind of see how these flavors are coming together now out of this world. So all we do now is we're going to bring this up to a simmer. When we bring this up to a simmer, right here in my hand right here, and we're going to show you a close-up of this right now so you can see the consistency of it. This is what we call beurre manier. Beurre manier is just flour and whole butter that you knead together, equal quantity. So if you're using, let's say, 2 sticks of butter, you would use 2 cups of flour, and you mix this together. Then you take the beurre manier here, and you add it to the soup right here. You gradually thicken the soup with the beurre manier till it has a consistency of melted vanilla ice cream. Then we take and we remove those garlic cloves and we add the cheese to it just till it melts. Now manchego cheese, it's a sheep's milk cheese. It's from Spain. It's delicious. And when you buy it in this country, you can get it in this country basically made. Actually, some stores carry it from unpasteurized milk, but you can also get the pasteurized variety. Has a very distinctive flavor, and it comes in different ages as well. It's a great melting cheese. It's also a great cheese for sauces. Now, the reason we're removing the garlic here is we've extracted all the flavor from the garlic. If I leave the garlic in there too long, or if I cook the garlic too long, it's going to have too dominant a flavor, and it's not going to taste good. So I need one more piece of beurre manier in here just to lightly thicken this. Okay. Now the beurre manier, the flour from the beurre manier cooks off relatively quickly. When I get to this point, once it comes back up to a boil and I have that proper nappe consistency, so I'm just going to go ahead and taste this now. Whoops, oh, here's my spoon. Just going to go ahead and taste this right now. Oh my goodness. Delicious. We're just going to take this off the heat. See how the cream will come up there? This is hot enough. I'm just going to take this now. A little bit of salt. A little bit of white pepper here. Then we add our cheese. Our cheese we add and we just stir it till it's melted. This is our garlic and manchego cheese soup. With this soup, you add the cheese just so that it melts. You see how it's getting nice and stringy here? Make sure you incorporate this well. Oh, out of this world. Now this soup is done. So now I'm just going to take this. We're just going to take our soup now. Make sure if you missed a clove of garlic, I just saw a clove of garlic there. If you miss a clove of garlic, make sure you get that out. But here is a delicious, there, see, I'm going to leave that garlic in there. That's good for a surprise. But we just take and put this right in the bowl here. Delicious manchego cheese, and garlic cream soup. Out of this world. I just, oops. If you wanted to, you could garnish it with any sort of green thing because it just does look a little empty there. I'm not going to do that now because I'm just going to tell you in the last half minute of the show that we made a delicious cream of mushroom soup with sliced mushrooms. A wonderful cream of broccoli soup, out of this world. And last but not least, heart healthy, even though it's got a little bit of cream, a garlic and manchego cheese cream soup. Thank you for watching Sopa Soup today on Let's Cook. You have a great day and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.